Today I'm going to be talking about the female voice, the alto, mezzo and soprano voices. It's primarily aimed at classical, training this, but I do train pop singers with the classical method, but then we do add more chest for those lower tones, to make it sound more shouty, more poppy. But I always train pop singers using this method first to make sure all the voice is strong and the throat is open before we start constricting it. But you have to constrict a little bit to make the pop sound. Yeah, but it's better if you can start with a more open classical sound before you start bringing that pop sound in to save the voice, to make it last longer. Okay, so you need to watch the falsetto video first. When I talk about breaking the falsetto off, it's not as obvious for the female voice. The falsetto and the full voice sound quite similar, but there is a difference. Yeah, we need to find it. We need to find that pure falsetto first and the pure chest. Yeah, so go back to the falsetto video, do the breaking off exercises. Yeah, and I'd like to add now with the female voice, you can also work from the passaggio video too, but you need to add a bit more chest in this area. With the guys, it's all about trying to eliminate chest in the passaggio because we're all a bit chest heavy there. And that's why we can't get high notes, because we take too much chest into that passaggio region, around about middle C, up to E. Yeah, with the girls, actually need to add a bit more chest there. Yeah, still do the passaggio exercises trying to eliminate chest, but alternate them with doing more shouty sound there. So, try and get the shout going there, because you'll need it occasionally. You need that shoutier sound. Most classical sopranos these days sound very underpowered in this area. They use falsetto, they don't use a chest voice. So you need to be able to access your chest voice here. Yeah? So alternate the with the Make sure you can sing both loud, shouty tones in the area and the more covered sound, the more closed sound, the more sound, yeah? Okay, so it's quite simple. So start with a falsetto video, break off your falsetto, then exercise your chest. Try and get the chest below the C. Try and get as much big dark sound. Big dark chesty sound there, yeah? And shout a bit. When you go into the passaggio. Even go a bit higher. As low as you can get it, yeah? Don't neglect these low notes, because it's going to really help when you coordinate for full voice, yeah? Females can't get away with singing in falsetto, yeah? The very light sopranos sometimes do it, but they shouldn't, yeah? Because often when you just take falsetto up, you push too much weight. And actually the chest will help you to thin out for those high notes, especially at the high C, which we're going to talk about now. So the passaggio, the falsetto, working chest voice, that's quite straightforward. Use the other videos for that. But here we're going to talk about how you find the tenor high C, which is your beginnings of your high notes. Yeah, this C here. It's very important that we get this zipping up feeling. I've covered it on the high C video for tenor, and it's probably worth listening to that. Definitely, I'd recommend all women to watch the tenor video too, because you do pretty much the same thing at that C. It's just that your voice carries on, whereas the tenor starts to fade out, E flat, E, F, yeah? The girl's voices to go higher, but in the same mechanism. Once you hit a high C, you're in your high mechanism, and there's no more passaggios for you, yeah? Okay, so how do we get this high C then? We need to modify the falsetto. We need to work the falsetto in the ooh, the and on that C you'll feel naturally a little change. On the B, we can still get that dark hooty tone on the B. The C, you can almost feel the beginnings of full voice coming in on that C. That's what happens at the C. The chest voice clicks back in, but in a very, very reduced way. The chords zip up, and only the very ends vibrate, and so it feels tiny. So the first thing the girls need to do here is to find this small sound. Don't go for full voice yet. I can't really call it falsetto. It's not pure falsetto anymore, but we'll call it a type of falsetto for like a head voice stroke falsetto at this area, yeah? So the chords are zipped up, and we just find this little squeaky tone. Do a lot of that between the C and the F. Yeah, don't worry about the high notes for now. But if you're actually having trouble with those notes, you could actually try a high note. I can't get like any high notes as a soprano, but try for a high note in that squeaky. I can't get any higher than that, but you should be able to get higher easily. Yeah. So if you're struggling in this area from C to F, yeah, just try a higher tone in that squeaky little sound, and then maybe draw it down. So try and draw that very squeaky little tone as far down as you can. Yeah, that will help with stopping the pushing, because what sopranos tend to do is get this sort of and they're sort of pushing air, and they're pushing falsetto beyond where it should go. Whereas really you want to get a little hook on that C. The beginnings of full voice, yeah? Don't do full voice yet. Just do those squeaky tones, yeah? The full voice will come from those eventually, yeah? And if you want another more help with getting the full voice, go to the tenor high C video, because I show how you go from the falsetto through to full voice on that high C. But I'll show you a little bit how you can get it with the squeaky tones too. What you'll find is those squeaky tones will develop naturally into the full voice for those notes above C. And then basically you do the same as tenors, the B down to the F, and the passaggio, and the chest voice. The mistake these days is to think of the male and female voice as something different. That's just, it's absurd. I mean, all voices are different shapes and sizes. You know, the basses have got very long, thick chords, and the lightest of sopranos has tiny, thin, small chords. Yeah? But the rest of us are somewhere in between. So to say that a woman is different to a man is absurd. Yeah? We all transition at middle C. That's where we start the change from chest voice into head voice. Yeah? It doesn't matter what voice type you are, the bass operates exactly the same as a soprano. The main difference is the bass never gets to those head voice tones, those full head voice tones that a soprano does. And the soprano never will get to those very deep bass tones like a bass does. But the actual mechanism works in exactly the same way. So look at the falsetto video, look at the passaggio video. It's all relevant to you too, as well as the guys, yeah? But the only difference is start these upper tones very tiny at first, yeah? And then when you start to get, you'll start to get more power in those anyway, but then you can start building. You could maybe do and then try and bring an in on the C to bring a bit more power. So, and the will start to bring the full voice connection in, yeah? Just keep working like that. And I'm going to cover the notes B down to F in another video. They're the tricky ones, yeah? But for now, work at your chest voice. Oh, just like a baritone. Think of yourself as a baritone when you're singing those notes, yeah? Maybe think of it as tenor as you go. Ah, oh, yeah? And then find this squeaky tone at the top. that squeaky tone will then develop. And the R vowel will bring in the full voice connection. And you'll get even more connection than that eventually. You'll get to be able to sound like a tenor in some of those, where the tenors sing high notes. You'll be able to sort of mimic a tenor. Yeah, don't be afraid of that more masculine tone in those lower tones. Yeah, the C and above is a bit different, but in the lower tones, which I'll cover in the next video, honestly, if you're singing together with a tenor, it will be difficult to tell you apart. On those old records, when the tenor and soprano were duetting, sometimes the tenor went higher, soprano went lower. They sound identical in those notes, yeah? So, yeah, that's it really. Work these high notes, very little squeaky notes. Still work your falsetto. But don't push the falsetto up. We need to add chest when we hit the C again, yeah? And we will add chest as well in these tones B down to F. Yeah? And then you can sort of, there will be probably another video later about how the passaggio, you think of it almost the opposite way. Tenor's the same. As you come down from the higher notes, you'll think of the passaggio coming back, bringing chest in. Yeah? And eventually all the higher voice should think like that. Not that you start with chest and take it up and try and change it, but you start with the falsetto tones, or the falsetto dominant tones in full voice, and gradually add more chest as you come lower. Yeah, so we'll cover that's the most difficult bit. So I'm leaving that to later, yeah? The B down to the F. For the high voices, you know, the girls have problems there too. It's not only the tenors that struggle in that area, and we'll cover that in a separate video. But for now, get your high tones working, which will eliminate all that weight, that middle voice weight that you've probably been pushing up into the higher tones, and solidify your chest voice. The girls need that too. It's not just the guys. Even the lightest soprano voice has yeah? And if you are a light soprano and you only sing classical and you start developing that tone, you may surprise yourself and you may actually sing pop music theatre songs, taking the chest voice a bit higher. It just adds a little bit variety to your singing voice. A good singing voice should be able to sing in any genre. I mean, I prefer only to sing classical, but I can, if I want to, I can make a sort of pop sound. I don't often do it, but it's possible. So a good classically trained voice is flexible enough to sing any genre possible.